Hello and welcome to another episode of Top Deck, the series where we take a look at some of the leading TCG deck lists. This time we have Lewis's list from the Birmingham WCQ going 6th place, and he was playing Altergeist. So let's run through the list then. So 1 Concrete, triple Marionetta, triple Meliseek, triple Faker, double Circuitous, triple Ash, 1 1-for-1, and double Secret Village. 2 Manifestation and just the 1 Protocol here, then 2 Dark Horizon. This essentially allows you to get access to the monsters that you want, like your Faker, just any time that you take battle or effect damage. 2 Dusters for Sky Striker and other back row decks, then 1 Order, triple Impermanence, 2 Metaverse, triple Spoofing, triple Strike, and triple Trap Trick, which actually allows you to get access to a lot of utility here. You can set the Manifestation, the Impermanence, Duster, even the Dark Horizon actually, so yeah, Trap Trick puts in a lot of work in this list. For the extra deck, there's 1 Exton, triple Hextia, 1 Prime Banshee, 1 Borrowload, 1 Clara and Rushka, 1 Mermaid, 1 Phoenix, 1 Unicorn, 2 Linkaribo, 1 Nangirsu, 1 Triple Burst, and 1 Wee Witch's Apprentice. Then for the side deck, there are 3 Pankratops, 3 Droll Knockbird, 3 Evenly, 2 Forbidden Apocrypha. You can again search this out with the Trap Trick in order to take out those big Thunder Dragon boards, triple Mind Crush, and 1 Solemn Judgment. So that is it for the list itself. Let's go on to the rounds, etc. Right, so we have the round save from list. Round 1, he went up against Noble Knights and went 2-0, won the die roll. Secret Village wins game 1, and double Evenly followed by Village wins game 2. Round 2, he went up against Paleozoic Frogs. He went 1-2 here, lost the die roll. The opponent opened Swap Water after Swap Water going first in game 1 and in game 3, so you kind of lose out there. Round 3 against Sky Striker Trickstar, he lost the die roll here. He doesn't really remember game 1 that well, but he knows that Linkaribo, Meliseek, and Concrete is just too good of a defense, so he wins the grind. Round 4 against Thunder Dragons, he went 2-0 again, lost the die roll, but he has Impermanence and Faker in game 1, and then in game 2 he has Impermanence and Meliseek, and that's generally enough. Round 5 against Lost World Dino, he went 2-0, won the die roll this time. Game 1 he opened Ash, 2 Manifestation and Trap Trick and Metaverse. The opponent summoned Overraptor, which gets ashed and attacks into a Trap Trick, which enables the Dark Horizon play into a Faker and Meliseek. And the next turn, then Lewis can just OTK. In game 2, the opponent lets him start, and he has Judgment for the opposing Evenly, and the opponent just can't play through the back row, so he wins that one. Round 6 against Trickstar Sky Striker. This is the final round for Lewis. He goes 2-0 here, having lost the die roll. Game 1 he sets up Village, and the opponent had all spells. And then Meliseek helps him to force out Reincarnation, and he wins the grind from there. In game 2 he opened Meliseek and Pankratops, and whilst the Linkaribo play in main phase 2 gets the Meliseek, main phase 2? In main phase 2, the Meliseek gets hit by Call by the Grave. Pankratops sticks for several turns, preventing the opponent from getting in a lot of damage because it's just too big for the Trickstar monsters to deal with, and it makes anything clearing it a bit awkward, so he wins out in that one. Then, as per usual, we'll go on to the questions. How was the event? He said it was well run. It started pretty promptly, and every round started a few minutes after the previous one ended. One of the perks of the current time rules. Now, why did he decide to play Altergeist for the event? He's been playing them since before Nationals. At the moment they are really well suited, as they don't really have any bad matchups, but have plenty of really good ones. In terms of Floodgates, I wanted to know if he found that he just wanted to beat spell heavy decks, because obviously there's no rivalry or anything else within this deck. He said that Sky Striker is the only real deck that you don't just beat anyway. So it's the only deck that you actually need Floodgates for. With Metaverse and Trap Trick, he actually has 7 copies of Village and 1 Order. So there's 8 cards that just automatically win the matchup if they don't have an out. In other matchups, he often sides them out if he's not going first. Then the Dark Horizon and the Trap Trick, probably the most atypical parts of this list. So I wanted to know why he decided to go with the Dark Horizon. He said, ultimately it's a terrible card, but it fills a nice niche. Altergeist can't play if you don't open a way into Faker. With 3 Faker, 3 Mana-Seek and 3 Spoofing and 1 for 1, most builds have only 10 starter cards, which gives you a 78% chance of opening Faker, which is effectively a 22% auto loss percentage, which is really bad. But you add in 2 Dark Horizon and 3 Trap Trick, it increases your number of starters to 15. You have a 92% chance of seeing Faker off your first turn, and that increase of 14% is 14% of games you would normally auto-lose that you now have a chance at actually winning. Of course, when you already have multi-Faker, Dark Horizon is a kind of useless card. However, because of Trap Trick, when you want Dark Horizon, you are playing 5 copies of it, but when you don't, you're only playing 2, so that's a nice little swing that Trap Trick gives you there. Of note is that Dark Horizon activates in the damage step, so it's the only starter card that can't actually be stopped by Ash. Unlike Spoofing and Mana-Seek, it can also be under Colossus, which is kind of cool. So, number 5, there are only 6 hand traps within the main, including the impermanence. I wanted to know if he felt he was comfortable with this in the format that's sort of developing towards a combo setup. He thinks it's fine for most matchups. You don't need to make sure that you don't desaturate, you need to make sure you don't desaturate the deck full of trap cards. If you add too many hand traps, then you won't open enough real traps. Of course, 6 leaves you unfavored against the FTK in game 1, but there's no third hand trap that's really good in every matchup that you can just sort of play. There are no cherries in the side of the main, so the extra is much more tactically aligned in terms of options. But why did he decide to play the Exton in a back row focused deck? Well, he said it's largely only played because there is an abundance of space. However, the niche it fills is that occasionally you may be in a situation where you have a Marionetta out with a Protocol on field under Gozen Match. In the decks that play Gozen Match, like Paleo and True Draco, Exton is a complete blowout, and the fact that you can make it under Gozen is really nice. For the side deck, the only thing I really had a question about here was the Mind Crush. I want to know if he thinks that it's got good utility in the modern format with BA, Thunder Dragons and Danger all running around on top of how it was before. He says he thinks it's pretty decent in all of those matchups, but only when you go first. The main advantage that Mind Crush has in Altergeist is it also gives you even the assurance without being an otherwise dead card like Wiretap. It's also important to note that he chose to side 3 Mind Crush despite it being searchable by Trap Trick. This is so that if he drew Trap Trick and Mind Crush at the same time, he'd still have 2 Mind Crush left in deck, so he could actually hit 2 different cards in the same turn. As for changes that he would make to the list, he thinks it's pretty much airtight because of Trap Trick making him want to play so many copies of, so many 2-ofs of normal traps. It's quite difficult to mess around with the ratios. If the FTK continues to be popular, he might try to find room for Reapers alongside the Drolls on the side, but it's hard to know what to cut at this stage. As for the hardest and easiest matchups, the hardest is probably True Draco or Paleo. Altergeist really struggles at interacting with spell or trap focus decks, since a lot of the main interruption, things like Protocol, Circuitous Strikes, and Impermanence, it's all focused on hitting monsters. Due to that prevalence, he's adjusted for spell heavy decks with villages. However, since True Draco and Paleo aren't as popular, there isn't enough interaction with trap cards in the main, and there are a lot of dead cards in game 1 against those. As for the easiest, it's probably Thunder Dragons. There are so many cards that you can draw in this matchup that just instant win the game. Mana-Seek and Silcatus straight clearing the Titan or Colossus feels really unfair sometimes. With the Apocrypha on the side, he also actually has 8, including Evening and Trap Trick, ways to break a large board without going second, break a large board even when he's going second against them. As for shoutouts that you want to make, just to the people from the locals in Bristol who drove up with him. So thanks very much, Lewis, for coming on and sharing your Altergeist list. Great to see some interesting innovation made here. Although you did say that, maybe Dark Horizon isn't the way forward, it's still very nice in that it has the utility in the modern structure of the deck. Thanks for watching this video, and hopefully we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching this episode of Top Deck. If you have any comments or suggestions that you would like to make, leave them in the comment section down below. Check out the description for details of how you can get involved in this series. You can enter by voice interview, or instead you could just send all of your information over Facebook Messenger. Anything like that will be absolutely fine. If you want to see anything in particular from the upcoming series, then be sure to get in touch, and I'll see you guys in the next video.